Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Belle again, and welcome to The Roads with Belle. Today is September 29th, 2024, and this is episode 58 of The Roads Not Taken, which is a weekly series where we go over the news that was unreported, underreported, didn't get the coverage we felt that it should, or we just found it interesting. And then we go over a few questions from y'all. So we made it through the hurricane okay, and we're back. But also in other channel news, we just want to remind you that we will never ask you to contact us via Telegram. We will never ask for your personal information. There are accounts in the comments that look like they're associated with the channel, but they are not us, okay? And they're asking you to contact them and giving personal information. We wouldn't ask for that, and that's not us. So please be safe and be vigilant and know that there's bad actors in there. And today is September 29th, and it's International Day of the Deaf. And on this date in 1962, President Kennedy sent marshals to Mississippi to make sure integration occurred. And we're going to start with foreign policy. The United States will likely be engaging in a troop reduction in Iraq. A new agreement between the U.S. and Iraq will lead to a different relationship. And while few specifics are known, the general tone looks like a reduction, not a total withdrawal. Elsewhere in the Middle East, as tensions with Israel flare, the U.S. has moved additional troops to Cyprus to aid in possible evacuation of U.S. citizens in Lebanon. Diplomats from around the world have been pressing ceasefires both along the northern border of Israel and in Gaza. But those efforts haven't seen much success at time of recording. Netanyahu gave an address to the United Nations. Diplomats from many countries walked out. There was also a major development with Netanyahu's campaign against Hezbollah's leadership. We did an analysis video on the main channel. In U.S. news, at least 50 were killed by Hurricane Helene. The totals are still being calculated and the devastation is widespread. The Boeing strike continues after negotiations failed to reach an agreement. The strike is headed into its third week. Missouri death row inmate Marcellus Williams was executed. The case drew national attention as prosecutors tried to convert his sentence to a life in prison over questions of his guilt. A lot of discussion took place over this case, and one of the interesting things is that most people reviewing it honestly, even those with a hard opinion, regardless of the opinion, expressed doubts about it and about their opinion. A bunch of reasonable people with doubts. RFK Jr. lost his fight to remain on the New York ballot. Trump does not withdraw his endorsement of Robinson in North Carolina. That's a bold strategy. Let's see how it plays out for him. According to an FBI report, violent crime went down an estimated 3% in 2023 from the year before. Murders and non-negligent manslaughter dropped nearly 12%. This is getting the numbers down to pre-pandemic levels. In 2020, homicides shot up almost 30%. Numbers like this are why the Trump campaign is so eager to push a lot of rhetoric about crime. They're probably trying to draw attention away from the numbers during his presidency. Rudy Giuliani was officially disbarred in D.C. In cultural news, in London, 3 people threw what appeared to be soup at 2 Van Gogh paintings. The paintings were reportedly protected by their cases. The action occurred shortly after 2 people sentenced for a similar act carried out in 2022. The actions are conducted to draw attention to climate issues. In science news, at-home COVID tests are available for free again. You can request them at covidtests.gov. According to the CDC, 4 more healthcare workers who took care of a patient with bird flu have revealed they experienced respiratory symptoms afterward. So far, none have confirmed to have contracted bird flu. In oddities, a bakery in Ohio says that judging by the number of cookies sold of each candidate, Trump will win. The last time this unique polling method was wrong was the last time it predicted Trump would win. Trump has started selling $100,000 watches. I am sure there will be no ethical questions that arise from this later. Also in oddities, Vance. Okay, and now we're on to the Q&A. Hey, Belle, I just wanted to ask for some mom advice. I've done boxing for a long time, and this year I decided to compete. It didn't go well, but I really enjoyed it. But now I've just lost the fire. I still love the sport and I love it all, but I just don't feel like competing anymore. I was never Muhammad Ali, but I'd say I was decent. And I just feel guilty. I feel like I've let my gym and myself down. I feel like a quitter. What do I do with these feelings? If you lose passion for something, you have to find a way to rekindle it. Especially if you really want to move forward with it again. Rekindling your passion, it's something that's a process. I am sure there's people that can provide constructive information in the comments section. But I will say this. You had a goal and you achieved that goal. So making a determination for yourself that it's just not what you want anymore, I don't feel that there's anything wrong with that. But in your question, or in the lead up to the question, you talk about how you still love it and you obviously still want to be part of the gym because you feel like you've let them down. Maybe doing something along the line of helping others train for competitions or doing something that's part of the gym, still definitely exercising and doing the boxing, can help you rekindle that. However, if it is something that you feel you reached that goal and you're past it, that's a determination you've made for yourself. And you should be proud of the success that you've gone through, that you had a goal and you obtained it. There may be outside influences that are kind of making you feel this way. But what matters is how you feel. So, there's some suggestions on how to recapture that passion, other ways that you can go in the sport. But you should definitely be proud of yourself. Okay. In my lifetime, I have always thought of the GOP as being the party of strict vetting and conformity. They have always seemed to be better at diving into the personal lives of their members and opponents than the Democrats. What do you think is the case of these recent failures in obvious ways? Santos, Robinson, etc. All of these people with massive baggage and holes in their backgrounds. How do they even get into circles where they could consider running for office? There was a time when, yes, the Republican Party engaged in strict vetting. Those days ended once Trump became a nominee. It's hard to enforce a vetting policy, especially like that, when you have someone like Trump at the top of the ticket. Do you think Harris and Walz talk often, discuss policy? How about Trump and Vance? I think Harris and Walz discuss their positions regularly and as they evolve their campaign pitches. I doubt that is the case with Trump and Vance. We all saw that they admitted any lack of conversation about women's rights. It just seems that they probably don't discuss much except talking points that they want to feed out. And I'm not even sure if I think that they speak directly to each other. I think a lot of that information is passed between other people. But I definitely feel that Walz and Harris probably communicate daily and are definitely working together. Hi, Belle. Longtime viewer, first with Bo and now with you. I'm enjoying your new presentation style, and I'm glad to see the quality of the content remains just as high. I've been wanting for someone to raise this point with you, but since no one has, I'll ask myself. Earlier this year, Bo was pointing out that in many recent elections, the Republican or right-wing candidate has underperformed against the pre-election polling. So the questions: is there any reason to think this wouldn't also apply in the November election? Since this is a well-known phenomenon by this point, do you think that the Dems not advertising this is due to them trying to ensure that their supporters turn out to vote due to the preconceived closeness of the race? Do you think that the fact that this effect is being underplayed is storing up problems post-election? If Trump loses by multiple percentage points, both the pre-election polls are much closer. Doesn't this just give him more ammunition to claim the vote was rigged? I realize that he will do this anyway, but this seems like it would make it easier. Okay. Bo seems convinced that Republicans will underperform. But he also hasn't checked to see if pollsters have found some way to correct for that trend. Me personally, I think there are simply more anti-far-right people showing up as unlikely voters. So it has the same effect, but for different reasons. As far as the last 2 points, I think there probably is a concerted effort for the Democratic side to make sure that people don't feel too comfortable with any lead. And it seems like, to me, they've just stopped caring what Trump's going to do or say because they know he'll do it no matter what. Okay, and I have a question regarding the filibuster. Do you think it serves any purpose or has any value as a check on simple majorities which have been known to pass draconian measures? My opinion is that the filibuster idea is a good idea, or at least not a bad idea, but the rule change that made it a procedural motion is bad. Without the pain inflicted of a long floor speech, there is no longer a disincentive to use the filibuster, so it becomes abused. There is a cost to stalling Congress by both public and colleagues. If a flick of a pen can change any vote away from the intended simple majority without any consequences, those costs are removed and the voting is now de facto supermajority. However, doing away with the filibuster entirely opens the door for abuses in other ways. Even if things would still function, I'd prefer to roll back the breaking change rather than throw out the baby with the bathwater. Admittedly, a progressive change and not a radical one. If there's any benefit, it's that it slows things down and, in theory, and provides more time to be thoughtful. And the problem is now that it doesn't just slow things down, it stops things. So that looks like it's it. A little more information and a little more context, and having the right information will make all the difference. Y'all have a good day.